Victor Hugo Daza, a young Bolivian named after a French man of letters, was made martyr for his country in a riot over water. The most basic of human needs, that which trickles through our veins, but Victor's flooded the streets much purer than the wine of his namesake's country. His skull, the broken cask of all that is humane, though that word seems less and less appropriate as time goes on, let out a parched cry for change, a plea for that which is rightfully everyone's, for water. Because legally, Cochabamba, Bolivia, had no right to water at all. A corporation out of San Francisco had the audacity to buy their life drink and sell it back to only those who could pay. Yes, they sold survival to an impoverished people. They funneled the sky's tears and fined those drinking sadness. They stopped up leaky roofs to cultivate Bolivian dustmen, and they imprisoned those flakes who were tired of flaking. But without water, the dust builds up. It moves from still homes to desert streets, from old boxes to town squares. The dust will scream through the wind, lashing out at those unseeing eyes full of greed, eyes that must now be attacked and forced to blink and to open renewed, refreshed, and reprieved, and they saw Victor fall. And the hope that his parents had was gone. The literary aspirations that come with a name like Victor Hugo, the desire for a more fruitful future, was lost. But his blood broke the dam so that the future went on.
Depression. Noun. A state of altered perception where one sees the world as dark and bleak. Purposelessness, disinterest, self-harm, pessimistic suicidal thoughts and or tendencies. Lack of motivation and or energy. It is not simply the feeling of being sad, but more or less the heart-wrenching stomach trembling numbness surrounding around you, engulfing you when it's truth, but it's all for attention, right? Wrong. David Lopez, age 15, 3 visits to psychiatric ward, 4 suicide attempts in the past 2 years of his life. Yet people gain the audacity to question if it's all for attention, right? Wrong. Every single night he cries himself to sleep, closes his eyes, and hopes for no dreams because in turn he knows the only thing to answer his sorrowful cries at night are the sick, twisted images that crawl through his mind. Little innocent Yuvia, a mere age of 13, smoking her heart out Monday through Friday, trying to hide, trying to escape from what he told her that night. How could she run through life content when ugly, jagged scars are painting their way down her body and still merely claim that she is just fine? You see, it's not all fun and games.
So many words learned, so many questions asked, but no answers ever given. How long will this madness last? So much innocence lost in the past. Don't ask me who, life is short. No need for an hourglass. You see, how can we as people look forward to the future if we're all scarred and blinded from the past? And dreams becomes unreachable. Children start to lose hope, so kids become unteachable. People develop a disrespect for authority, so laws become breakable. Americans start to realize the disgusting realities of life, so streets become untamable. You see, in my history class, all I learned about are the wars and the tragedies. Now, I'm imagining a world without war, but with that comes a world without peace, simply because of greed. You see, greed is an incurable infection that is holding back the true potential of humanity, so sadly, we don't get peace. You see, for a life, you give a life, something like American sacrifice. Forced tears shedding means that destructive blood is being shed. In Americanized life, knowledge is power, but simply a man with a gun has power. Not earned, not given, but bought. An uncivilized man gets the inhumane choice of deciding whether a person lives or dies has power. What is power? Who exactly deserves power? Is power won by love, or is it won by fear? Is it won by the tears and the pain, or the smile on the face, the elevation of hearts, or the separation of blood from veins? When did it start? Or when does it end? Just much I don't understand, so much I don't understand. Like, How can you create a life and deny that life? How can a boy become a man if the only man he wants to know, the only man he wants to watch him grow, leaves simply because he is able to breathe? I guess things just seem to get to me, like how women claim to want love, but they just like the idea. They want a cute face rather than a loyal mind, so all they know is broken hearts and one nights. But what's disgusting is how we ship our soldiers overseas to fight for our peace. But my peace isn't overseas. The killer of Martin Luther King wasn't overseas. The killer of the people in the movie theater wasn't overseas. The killer of those little kids, those angels in the elementary school wasn't overseas. So you please tell me, whose peace exactly are we dying for? You can... Sure. We are all separated by color, united by the tragedies, united by the pain. The place we find love is the same place we find hate. Only God can judge. But what's his judgment to a non-believer? Country full of celebrities. I'm still struggling trying to find a leader. I said only God can judge. And if I was him, I would be shamed. But I'm not. I can only pray to my heels because they all seem to get shot. Maybe the devil has a band and we're just instruments in his plot. Nowadays, people act like they too good to praise God. Well, actually, where I come from, people too hood to praise God. Yet people claim to be Christians, but fail to follow his ways. But when something goes wrong, you fall to your names, crying, shouting, and blaming his name, asking him, why me? What did I do to you? All I want is love. You're supposed to be my father, too. I ain't trying to sound rude, but I'm praying, but I don't know who I'm praying to. Our generation is so weak-minded. People are starting to doubt their faith. When I die from what I know, how can I rest in peace knowing I left my family behind in the land of the free? You can love me or hate me, choose me or lose me. My words represent the truth, so there's no force alive that can mute me. But I never said they can't shoot me. Everybody wants change, but fears change. To me, it's just so amusing. I think that's why when we see tragedy, everything is so confusing. I guess life is what we make it in the world that's so forsaken. Before it's too late, a new era needs to awaken.
I feel nothing. I exhale nothing. Nothingness is what I've become. I've been here before, motionless, watching as the seasons go by, as the freezing temperatures take over the once living, and I become a wilted tree. The snow, your lies, numbing my leaves. The wind, your betrayal, breaking my branches off. A feeling so familiar I can no longer feel it or tell if it is love or if it is hate. You say you are sorry, but you are too little too late. I am now a weeping willow, but I refuse to let you see, so I deceive you with an image of an apple tree. And if you dare come back and take the apples that are left, well, you have been warned, for they have turned sour and poisonous. I will not let your lies and deceit cut into my fragile limbs again, because while my branches and leaves are torn and rattled, my roots are strongly rooted into the nurturing soil. The spring is here, and I will soon be reborn, stronger than I was before, into a graceful blossom tree. You fooled me into thinking that your love was as pure as water, and that I needed it to survive. That this water you disguised as love was poison, and that, But what I realize now that I didn't realize then is that I am my own water, and that is as pure as it gets. Had I not found the beauty in my own existence, I would no longer exist as me. The dreams and goals I had been working towards my entire life would be nothing but an abandoned seed. But one day you will see the beautiful and strong blossom tree I've become without you. Maybe not today or even tomorrow. This will take time, but believe me, you will feel me rise.
As soon as human hands have touched Earth, civilization came to play and wiped nature clean. We have lost sight of its beauty and the essence it used to bring before buildings began to be constructed. We used to be considered part of the cycle of life because we used to appreciate and respect animals. Now, we're our own species of wild beasts, roaming around killing anything and everything that surrounds us and having extras to spare for our use and no one else's. The only sound you could hear were the animals roaming around, living free and careless of the world. And now we hear the towels hum, buzzing electricity as we try to fall asleep. Truth be told, we are more prepared for a zombie apocalypse than a whole day's worth of no electricity. People are so caught up on what is the new news feed on Twitter that they can't even turn off their phones to watch a performance at a theater. People are rushing all the time, trying to get somewhere. But what happened to taking a breather and enjoying what we have now instead of looking so far ahead in the future? My mind still goes back centuries when people still went out dancing and not just grinding, to when people still spent the time to write a letter to a loved one and not just texting, to when people still came up to the door and knocking on your door and asking you to go out instead of having them call you and say, hey, can you meet me outside? And love, to not just saying it but feeling it physically and emotionally, by being there and holding them by the hand and giving them a kiss that shows true compassion and not just a little smooch that says, I want to get laid. Because the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Where everything had a purpose and a meaning, where music was to be listened to and sang along by, not just some random machines corrupting while you're too busy getting stoned. Our fashion goes back millennia, but will our knowledge? It seems that now everybody's so used to relying on technology that they don't even know how to use a dictionary anymore. We are creatures of the underworld. We can't afford to love or anything that comes along with it. Because today is the day when dreaming ends, unless we do something about it. They say it's better to look ahead than to look back at your past. But truthfully, I think that history is the best way to save ourselves and become one with nature again. And remember what brought us here in the first place.
Band, and this time